The 1886 Portuguese, some people call it Kropacek, I call it Kropacek rifle, manufactured by Steyr. Another one of these interesting antique guns that a lot of people have. They're around. Ammunition is fairly well obsolete. I've had these guns for some time and did research and study on it. And a bunch of different things, but finally I went and whipped together some ammunition, took it out and fired it today on the range. Now there were people there at the range, so I don't do much talking. I basically fire some test rounds that I developed just to get chronograph readings. And you know, again, we get thrown off. Now, the reason I haven't worked with this cartridge, a lot of confusion, a lot of different things. They're two different lengths. And what it is, there was a longer length version of this cartridge when it used a metallic bullet with black powder, much like the 8x50R Austrian, which went in the early M95 rifles and the 88, 86 rifles or whatever. This cartridge is a throwback from that era and survived on. These rifles were actually used until the 1960s, kept in storage or something until they were sold as obsolete weapons by the Portuguese. Now in this original contract, a lot of these guns come to us in good shape, but the trick is making the ammo. And the rub about it is there's two different length cartridges listed for this. The older smokeless version used a shorter case, which I think is the 8x56R. Okay, and there's a longer case. People try to load this with black powder. Long story short, I made these cases from .348 Winchester. Okay, I made them with an RCBS kit to make them, but the overall length is a lot shorter. Okay, and what I used in this test load was the bullet from Lee for the 8x56R M95 bullet, the Hungarian. And I was trying to use a 330 thousandths diameter bullet with a gas check, and I used a load of green dot. And what I found is the load was fine. The bullets actually weren't really spread out, but what happened is my first load, my lightest charge, what I did was I used this sight where I flipped it around, because all these guns shoot way high. So I flipped it around and used this little battle sight here. And when I did my first rounds, which were very low powered, shot way low. I was below the paper. I thought it would shoot high, it shot low. It did the exact opposite of what it was. And finally I was able to get, as I increased the charges by a half grain up to a maximum, I was able to get it on paper. I'm going to review the chronograph thing and go into detail about it as I go along. Well, see, the problem is there are so many variations, ways to reload this, ideas, thoughts, people using different bullet diameters and all this other stuff. It needs a detailed explanation. Actually, making the cases is not terribly difficult, okay? It's not as difficult as some other ones, and you do trim about an 1/8 inch off of this, okay? In the end, after the shaping and that. But I got to start because people have asked me for years to do a load on this. I went one route. It's not the only route. See, this is the contention. The devil in the details with this cartridge is what type of bullet to use, okay? And getting it to fit in the chamber with the type of brass that you're making. See, this is where the little fine details were for me just to say, oh, do this, do that, and throw that in there. Ain't gonna go. But we got to start. I will cover it in detail, but I went out to the range and did some test firing. Really, I may show the targets if I can. Let me dig them out. Maybe we'll look at the targets as we go towards the end. But now we'll put in the little bit of range time I had. Like I said, there were people there, so I couldn't really elaborate or talk much. Basically, I was just shooting the gun. Alright, what happened is we were so far off and I already laid the targets out that I shot 4 strings. But it wasn't until the second string I realized I was shooting point of aim here that low. That's why the first string was off paper and lost. Keeping that in mind, I had 2 targets stacked like that and was trying to aim at this point here, and I ended up with this grouping here, which is not too bad. Okay, then the last of my 4 strings, using the same technique, shooting like at the edge of the paper with the sights lined up. I didn't realize it, but I got 3 shots touching here and 2 flyers. Now under the circumstances with people around, not taking my time, this is probably the best to load. So this rifle is capable of shooting well with those cast bullets. And that was getting up there. I'll have to double check and go over the velocities, but that's the results. Okay, it's just I'm shooting, 6 or 8 inches low at 50 yards. Okay, so a little bit of something to work on, but that's the results I got just as a very casual start. It's a quick start to this, so more work to be done, more research, more time on the range. But it looks like this gun's a winner, and the bore's in good shape. There was no leading or nothing from the bullets, so it all kind of worked out all right. But that's my beginning and start of this, and there will be future videos and more work with this rifle and this ammo.